Hello, this is Randy Wooden, and this is from the Wooden Desk. I invite you today to pull up a chair to the desk and to learn and to grow and to dialogue together in a way that I believe can impart something in your life that will bring about change or a greater effectiveness in your life or in the organization that you may be leading. Today, I'm going to be dealing with a subject that is very familiar, and it's called strategic planning. Another way of putting it is, where are you going? And if you know where you're going, do you have a plan to get there? There's very few of us that go somewhere that maybe we've not been there, but we know that's where we're going, that we do not set our GPS or at least lay out a plan on how to get there from where we currently are. Sometimes it means that we have to change something in us in order to get there, or we have to plan to change some people around us in order to delegate to get there. But in all of this, my heart is in these series of videos on strategic planning that we will say some things that will really resonate and help you where you are as you lead. Let me define this word strategic planning, or just this word strategic, is an opportune or critical or key or principal or a crucial thing. So I would say that this thing of strategic is, I believe we have got to be strategic today. We just can't do things by the seat of our pants and just do things on a whim, but we have got to be very intentional. But the word plan means to have a pathway that the leader wants their people and the organization to be able to follow. Of course, that's all within what we would call vision casting and where we are planning and taking our congregation. You know, have you ever heard the saying, and I know we have, those who plan to, fail to plan, ultimately plan to fail. I think we've all heard that. Well, I can't speak in all facets of life. I can certainly tell you this is true in ministry and in business. Pastors and leaders find themselves planning for all sorts of things, so much that planning is one of the major functions of management. It's sad, but it's true, is sometimes in the calling as a minister of the gospel, sometimes we might say, I just want to preach the gospel and I just want to teach and disciple, which is a part of our portfolio. But the difficulty, depending on what kind of organization and the size of your organization, you're also tasked with administration. You're tasked with the areas of being able to plan towards where you are going and the things around you. And I don't know about you, but I believe this is a valuable skill set that each one of us need in our toolbox, and that's the ability to plan. Before I get into talking a little bit about strategic planning, I'm going to show you just a little bit of a diagram that would take you through a process. I don't know if you can see this on the screen. I'll kind of hold it close so you might can see it. I'm not so technological that I can put this on a separate screen for you. But it basically is called the 6-step vertical axis. Within this is something that I believe all of us are trying to do as it deals with leading our organizations and bringing process. But there's 6 things. First of all, it is the mission. It is the vision. It is strategic planning. It is tactics. It is this area of purpose, preparation, and implementation, and then function. Now, what does all that mean? I believe one of the things that we have to realize in our planning is that it has got to be tied to something that has the meat in it and has the purpose within it that is God's desire for our lives. And what I mean by that, first of all, we have got to have a mission. That mission may be a personal mission. Part of my mission is in my DNA is to be able to be a springboard to help leaders go higher and to equip them and to develop them and to speak into their lives practically, prophetically, and empower them. But what I realize is how many individuals and organizations are without that first area of mission. Because mission, any planning that we do laterally to go out, we have got to have what I call a mission. A mission is ultimately that area of a clear statement of why we exist, but also it is something that inspires people to want to do. The last ministry that we were a part of, it was the team had really worked hard on putting together a a mission statement that would complement what we were trying to accomplish and who we were. And it ended up being inspiring love, life, and relationships. And out of that became our planning and our purpose. But there were these 6 areas. The first one is this area of mission, but then vision. It is getting to a place of putting action steps in where we're going to go 1 year and 5 years from now, and the steps we're going to take to fulfill the mission that God has put us. And then this area that's in the center of this diagram is this thing called strategic planning. And I have on the side here short term and long term. What does that mean? I believe every one of us has to take moments where we stop and say, okay, what is the things that I want to do for the next 30 days? You know, a lot of us don't know what we're going to do next week, but I think it's important. You know, we have to start, and let me just put this and break it down very elementary. First of all, this has got to be a part of our lives personally. What does that mean? That means it has to be in our time management. That means that I know where I'm going to be next Tuesday, and I know what I'm going to be accomplishing next week as it deals with the influencers and the things that I'm wanting to produce. I can't just run my life based on, well, whatever happens, happens. And if it does, usually things happen that are not going to be things that I plan for. So I think there's an intentionality that we have to have. So this area of strategic planning is important, but then it takes us to this area also of tactics. Now, tactics is not strategic planning. Tactics is usually things that need to be fixed. You know, I need to paint a room. Oh, yes, I guess I plan time to paint that room, but it's usually more geared around removing problems and the tactics that may be in our organization. And this area of purpose, preparation, and implementation. See, if we don't have plans, we can't implement. If we don't have plans, we can't prepare to do what we know we have laid out. So we see how strategic, even in what we call this 6-step vertical access, that I think is really key, that I think is so important for us. But on that last part, it's function. That we have a desire, and I think this is the desire of every leader, is to take the mission and the vision that we have as a ministry, and we bring it down to its lowest level of everybody in our organization knowing what it is and knowing its importance and ultimately walking that out. That means that if your statement, whatever it may be, that everybody can repeat that statement. I like what Bill Hybels said years ago. He said in casting vision, he says, you need to be able to repeat the vision in the pulpit 26 times a year. That's every other week. And in the essence of that, I think it's important for all of us to realize that we have got to have a clear picture of where we're trying to take people. And all of this is very important as we get into this lesson today, because as we talk about strategic planning and getting people in a place where we want them to be and leading them where God has ordained them to be, there has got to be a clear plan. Does people know what your plan is? Do you know what your plan is? So I think this is a valuable starting place, because this may be a place you want to sit down with your team and say, okay, we need to stop for a moment and we need to turn the video off and we need to begin to ask some questions. First of all, do we have a clear mission? Do we have vision, which is action steps to fulfill that mission? Do we have a strategic plan, short term and long term? And we begin to work towards that, and getting that, once that is established, then that can begin to be communicated to other areas and other levels in your ministry. It usually has to start at an executive level. And it starts with the heart of the leader, but then it starts with an executive team and those organizational leaders that are going to help you to define and to communicate that and get it on paper so that it becomes repeatable. And I think this is very important for all of us to understand. So as I've started this introductory video, I'm going to begin to lay out in our next video lessons and focusing on specifically this area of strategic plannings. I look forward to this series. I hope you'll join me for the next one. God bless and have a great day. May the kingdom of God be enlarged in you and around you.